Thank you, Deputy Speaker. It's a pleasure to follow the Honourable Lady who spoke with passion about her devoted pet. And I think her story will be repeated millions of times across our country, bearing in mind our reputation for, and I think in the main, our justly held reputation for being a nation of animal lovers. I'll come on to some of the exceptions that we all know about in a moment. If it's true that pets take on the characteristics of the people who look after them, then in the case of the cat who lives in my house, and I put it in that way rather than my cat, I would say that her propensity to being demanding and voluble may well bear some similarities to me. I leave it at that for the House to draw its own conclusions. But our cat, who's of course a cat protection cat, the second one that we've had in our family, both from Cats Protection, and I pay tribute to that wonderful organisation. You need never buy a cat in this country. There are thousands, tens of thousands of deserving cats who need a home, and charities like Cats Protection provide a wonderful source of cats that need love and need a home. Our cat, Mrs. Landingham, who of course devoted to the West Wing will know was a great character, the President's Secretary in the first 2 seasons of that wonderful drama, has been with us now for several years. And as I say, the relationship between cats and their families can be a complex one, and ours is no exception at all. But she is well loved by, in particular, my daughter, who really enjoys her company. So that's another story to add to the millions of others who the prospect of losing their pet would be one of real trauma. And we know the cases of trauma that exist. And therefore, it was some years ago, back in 2021, when I was in office as Justice Secretary, that I, together with my Right Honourable friends, the member for Whittam, who was then the Home Secretary, and the member for Camborne and Redruth, and then DEFRA Secretary, we set up the Pet Theft Task Force. It was a task force that consisted not just of officials from our 3 respective departments, but also 2 police and crime commissioners, Katie Bourne, the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner, and Chris Nelson, the Gloucestershire Police and Crime Commissioner, and indeed police leads and representatives of the CPS, animal welfare groups, and taking evidence from a wealth of organisations such as the RSPCA, the Dogs Trust, the Kennel Club, and indeed the Sentencing Council itself, bearing in mind the need to consider the interrelationship between any sentencing regime and sentencing for existing offences. Now, it had been put at the time very strongly that we have the law of theft to cover the taking of animals and pets. And that, quite rightly, many lawyers said, well, what on earth are we doing? We don't need another law, another layer of complexity for prosecutors and police to consider. But then it became abundantly clear that the treatment of animals as chattels or goods or property just doesn't meet the way in which society regards our pets. They're sentient beings, they're sentient creatures. They're therefore much more than mere